All right, welcome back to part 4 of the Hero Shield project. So you can see here, we've done some extra work. I did some extra work in between tutorials, basically testing out this whole idea of developing a strap here. So we'll see how much further we can get along. Again, from last tutorial, we completed the brace and one of the brackets, which is very simple to duplicate once we have one. I just duplicated one and dragged it over on there. So what I want to do next is essentially create the strap that goes through there, and then we'll do the bolts after that. So what we need is essentially a cube. Go ahead and select a cube here, scale it down quite a bit, and we want it to kind of fit in that area there. So I'm going to grab and basically just kind of scale it to fit, and then sort of move it into place using the arrows here basically to kind of move it to position here. And what we want is essentially one that will fit inside this brace that we created in the previous tutorial. So let's see here, kind of move it into position. And I think I've got about the right width. That looks pretty good, but we need it to be a little bit shallower. I think it's a little bit too thick, I think still. Let's see. Yeah, that's probably, we could make it slightly thicker, maybe like that much. And that looks pretty good. Now I'll go ahead and scale it out a little bit, direction wise, move it over. So essentially pretend we have, or actually we could do it right now, we'll just duplicate one of these and drag it over. So we have another bracket. And again, duplicate it just by selecting and hitting Control D or Command D on the Mac, and you get duplicate copy. So what we want to do with this piece of geometry is essentially duplicate it and make sure that it has enough subdivisions so that it will feel like it's wrapping around this form. So I'm going to bring it up here to make this a little bit easier. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that Insert Edge Loop tool, and I'm going to go to the tool settings, and we're going to use multiple edge loops, have that checked, and then I'm going to crank this up probably to, let's see, the max. That's right, they really cranked at the maximum on this. Let's try 12 and see how many edge loops. That actually looks pretty good because that's about the width I wanted for one of these. We could bump it up. I'm going to hit Control Z or Command Z undo. I'm going to bump it to maybe 14 and see how that looks. That's probably a little bit better. So we'll do 14 edge loops and then click out on the arrow to escape out. And then what we want to do is basically add 2 edge loops down the side here. So if we look at the original photo of the strap, there are these, if we zoom in here, there's little stitching edges along here that correlate, and we could do that with 2 edge loops. So again, select that edge loop tool, and then instead of 14, we'll type in 2 here, click, and then immediately scale out by hitting R, and then scale it out like so. That way, what we could do is select all those middle faces, which I think I'll do right now. Just drag a little selection across those middle faces there and scale them up a little bit. Just grab that, kind of scale them up that way and that way a little bit so that we get them to poof out just a little bit. And it looks like I accidentally, I don't know how I did that, but I accidentally grabbed the brace here at the same time, which is weird because there's 2 separate objects. That should not have happened. Let's go ahead and right click, select faces. There we go. We have just those selected. And I'm going to check that they are selected, just kind of rotate around. Or we could do an isolate selected, but yeah, we could do that too. Show, isolate, select, view selected. Make sure, yeah, we have just those faces selected. So show, isolate, selected, view selected. And what we want to do is just scale it out a little bit, poof it out this way. And we could poof out just a tiny bit to the forward direction also. And that looks pretty good. Yeah, I like that. So now right click, let's go to object mode, select that object, and what we want to do is we're going to delete history, freeze transformation, center pivot, and then we're going to duplicate it by hitting Control D or Command D, drag it down, make a copy of it like so. Now what we can do is we can select multiple of these and do a bunch of stuff with it. Now we need one more for the shorter end. So I'm going to duplicate this one and then move it up out of the way just temporarily, so it's way up there. So these two, I want to merge them together. I want these two to essentially be attached. I'm going to bring it down a little bit further, and I'm going to hold the shift key and select the other one. And then what you have to do is you have to go over here to, let's see where it's at. Sometimes it's hard to find. It's under mesh, and here it is, combine. And that will essentially make that one whole mesh. So now what I can do is right click, choose faces, and I can shift select these faces here, all three of these, and then I'll have to rotate view and shift select these three. So it was a little bit difficult, so you kind of have to pan around a little bit, but I want to essentially bridge the distance from those to there. And you can use the bridge tool for that. So the bridge tool, I have a hotkey set up for it. It is under edit mesh and choose bridge, and then it'll ask for if you want more divisions there when you create it. And with this one, it actually would probably be a good idea to have one division between there, and that will probably do good. And then we could probably scale them out a little bit, I'm noticing, or at least maybe not the center ones, but maybe, let's see, maybe we need to just scale out. Let's go to edge mode and just grab this edge, click on it, and then hold shift key and click on this edge and just scale them out from this side a little bit just to even out those polygons. I also want to right click, choose edge again, and I want to grab this edge here, and what I want to do is switch to the move tool and pull it back a little bit so it angles out a little bit like that. And that looks pretty good. So that's definitely going to feel like another strap. Now I'm going to right click, choose object mode, and grab this object now, and I'm going to bring this one down like so, and then I'm going to bring it forward. And if we look at the image here, what this is basically the belt loop that comes over. So we could have it shorter, which I'm probably going to do, or you could have it extend over. I'm going to have mine basically be a little bit shorter here, as if the brackets are, one will be over here, one will be over here, and I can line it up wherever I want, something like this. What I'm looking for is if I want these meshes to merge again with this one, is I'd want these polygons and these polygons to line up right here. So probably something like that'll work out. And then what I can do is right click, go to face mode, and I can get rid of some of these extended faces at the end here. I don't need all of these on the end, so I'm going to go ahead and delete those. Now that does leave me with an issue here. I do have a hole now here at the end, but we can fix that. So the way we fix it is we're going to right click, go to edge mode, click on an edge, and then shift select another edge, and basically do that bridge tool again. And we can add a division if we want right here, but I don't think it's necessary. I think one on the flat's fine, because what that leaves us with is a 4 and a 4, four-sided polygon openings, which we can use the fill hole command for that. And I'm just going to hit the G key for that. Fill hole is under, let's see, where is that? Under mesh fill hole, here it is. And yeah, now it works out pretty well. So now let's right click, go to object mode, select this object, and we could then now merge it with this group and make it look like it's wrapping around by grabbing these actual polygons and kind of connecting them together. But I'm not going to do that. The reason why is that when you actually have the brackets in place, you're not going to be aware that these are or are not connected from most views, because it's going to basically be pretty close to it, and it's going to be, you know, basically rolling a little bit. We haven't talked about that yet, but I'm going to change the form a little bit. So I'm going to leave this disconnected. By the way, on this end, we didn't connect the loop. So I just noticed that on the other end here. We want the whole loop to go all the way around. So what I am going to do is right click, go to face mode, and choose these three faces again, just by holding down shift key, and then again rotating view, holding shift on these three, and then we will do that bridge again. There we go. And with this one, we'll actually add a division 1, I think will be great. and then do that same thing where we go to edge mode, click on this edge, click on this edge, scale them out a little bit like so, and then click on this edge and hit W and pull back, so we get a little bit of action there like that. That looks pretty good as a strap. So now we have our straps. Now we just need to brace. And so at this point, I think what I'll do is we'll pause here. We'll basically end this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we'll pick up where we get the brackets, and then which are the little loop brackets here, and then we'll do the bolts in the next tutorial to try and wrap things up. So this concludes part 4 of our tutorial. We'll see you soon. Cheers.